Hello, my name is Daniel. Thank you for being here with me today. If you enjoy real, heartbreaking cheating stories from Reddit, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and leave a comment to share your thoughts. It really means a lot to me. This is a story that still leaves a hollow place in my chest every time I revisit it. A story of quiet love, blind trust, and the kind of betrayal that cuts deep because it came from the person he loved most in the world. 8 years ago, Oliver met Heather. He was 41 at the time, a structural engineer in a small town outside of Asheville, North Carolina. She was 38, a rising star in business development for a major tech company that specialized in logistics software. They connected over shared values, growing up in conservative Christian households in rural parts of the South. For both of them, Sunday service had been a lifelong ritual. Kindness, honesty, faith, those were the pillars of their lives, and they believed they'd finally found someone who shared that foundation. When Oliver earned his second degree, his parents, comfortably retired and generous in spirit, gifted him the 3-bedroom home he'd grown up in. They didn't want to wait for a will to pass down joy. They wanted to see it in his eyes while they were still here. He and Heather got married 5.5 years ago. At their wedding, everyone said they were perfect for each other. The way they looked at each other, the way they touched, it was effortless. Their marriage wasn't flashy, but it was strong. Dinners at home, long walks on Sundays, whispered laughter behind closed doors. Heather wore modest dresses, even at work, but in private, she made Oliver feel like the only man in the world. Then 2 years into the marriage, their daughters were born. Identical twins with strawberry blonde curls and sleepy eyes. They were Oliver's world. Everything shifted after that. Life became about bedtime stories, soft lullabies, and dancing in the kitchen on Saturday mornings. Raising twins wasn't easy, but Oliver was proud of the rhythm he and Heather had found. When she was tired, he stepped in. When he faltered, she picked up the slack. There were no screaming matches, no cold silences, just love. Or so he believed. Then came the phone call. Heather had been asked to attend a 3-day event in Charleston. Half her department was out with the flu, and the company needed her there. She tried to get out of it, Oliver remembered. She told me twice how much she hated being away. "I don't want to leave you and the girls for 3 days," she said, zipping her suitcase with a pout. "You know how I get when I'm away from home." I kissed her forehead, helped her with her bag, and walked her to the town car her company sent. "We'll be fine," I had said with a smile. "Come back safe." She had never given me a reason not to trust her. Heather was the kind of wife who touched my face gently in the morning and texted me goodnight kisses when she traveled. So when my friend Marcus messaged me 2 nights into the trip, I didn't think much of it. "Hey man, having dinner at the hotel bar in Charleston. Crazy thing. Think I just saw Heather across the room." I blinked at the screen. "She's in Charleston for a work thing," I typed back. "Are you sure it's her?" Marcus replied with 3 attachments. The first photo made my stomach twist. It was Heather, no doubt about it. But she looked like someone else. Her black dress barely covered her thighs. Her neckline dipped low. Her hair was styled in loose curls, and her lips were painted red. She looked radiant, sexy, and unfamiliar. Oliver stared dumbfounded. He chuckled, trying to shake off the dread. "Maybe she just dressed up for the gala," he muttered to himself. "Nothing wrong with that." Then he opened the second image. She was leaning into a man, handsome, salt and pepper hair, late 40s maybe. Her hand was resting on his wrist. Her smile was wide. Her eyes were locked on his. Not with polite interest, with longing. Oliver's throat tightened. He knew that look. She used to look at him that way. He opened the video. It lasted only 12 seconds. but it crushed him. Heather and the man, who Oliver would later learn was her regional director, Colby, were kissing. Not a gentle peck, a deep, open-mouthed kiss. His hand gripped her waist, her fingers slid through his hair. Oliver dropped his phone. His heart pounded so hard it hurt. Marcus messaged again. "Are you okay?" He picked up the phone with trembling hands. "Where is she now?" "Still sitting with him." She checked her phone when it buzzed, saw your name, and put it back in her purse, didn't even pause. Oliver called, straight to voicemail. "I'm here if you need anything," Marcus said. Oliver didn't answer. He just poured a glass of whiskey and stared at the wall. His world was gone, his marriage a lie, and the woman he loved more than life a stranger. She walked through the door like nothing had happened. Heather kissed my cheek, held our daughters, and slipped back into her life as though she hadn't torn it apart. For a fleeting second, I questioned my own sanity. Maybe she didn't remember. Maybe something had happened to her, some kind of trauma or medication or breakdown that made her forget. I searched for any reason to believe that she wasn't in control of what I saw in those images. But deep down, I already knew. She was fully aware, and that hurt even more. She had 3 days left on her trip. That was all the time I had to plan my next move. Meanwhile, we spoke on the phone every morning and every night. She told me how much she missed me, how she hated being away from the girls, how empty the bed felt without me beside her. She played the role flawlessly. Devoted mother, loving wife, selfless woman. But now that I knew what lay beneath, every word she said was like a blade. I couldn't tell what stung more, her betrayal, or the fact she thought I'd never notice. Marcus's messages stripped away every illusion. My wife wasn't who I thought she was. She had turned me into a fool, living a life I believed was honest and sacred while she built another one behind my back. But she had underestimated me. She didn't know what I was capable of. Technology had always been my strong suit. Months ago, I'd installed a tracker on Heather's phone under the guise of helping her if she ever lost it. What she didn't know was that it came with a hidden voice recorder and cloud backup that logged her calls, texts, and emails. I'd never used it before. I didn't need to. I had trusted her completely. But now, trust was gone. I stayed focused on the girls. Breakfast, toys, cleanup, lullabies. Parenting 3-year-old twins is exhausting, but their laughter grounded me. When they finally went down for a nap, I grabbed my laptop and pulled up the cloud logs. 6 unread messages from Heather. All sweet, all full of lies. I opened the most recent recording between her and Colby. My chest tightened. "Last night was incredible, baby. I can't wait to be in your arms again tonight. You were amazing, kitten. Think we can sneak away before dinner? Of course, but I need to call my husband first. I'll be ready by 5:15. Does he have any idea? Not a clue. He thinks I love him. I'll make sure he keeps believing that. What we have is just ours. He never has to know." 6 months. That's how long she'd been saying those words. That pet name, kitten, used to be mine. That word belonged to me. I stood so fast the chair slammed backward. My vision darkened. Rage pulsed behind my eyes as I grabbed the lamp from the table and threw it against the wall. Glass exploded across the floor. Then I heard it. 2 tiny cries from the nursery. I froze. Their sobs cut through the fog. I rushed to them, scooping them into my arms, whispering comfort through gritted teeth. I sat with them until their cries softened into hiccups and their little heads rested against my chest. After settling them in front of the TV, I went back and swept up the glass. The marriage was dead. That much was clear. I didn't need more proof. I didn't want to hear another word from their sick little affair. I needed a plan. I needed to protect my girls. I made 3 calls, one to a divorce lawyer, one to a private investigator, and one to my mother, asking if she could help with the girls over the next few weeks. That afternoon, Heather called. Her voice was warm, soft, and syrupy. "Hey, baby, how are my little princesses?" "They're doing great," I replied. "We all miss you." "Oh, sweetheart, you have no idea how much I think about you. I can't wait to hold you when I get home." "Me too, baby. Can't wait to hug my beautiful, loving wife." She giggled, like everything was fine. Soon, just a couple more days. 15 minutes later, she wrapped up the call. "I love you, Oliver. The bus is leaving for the hotel." "Love you too, more than you know." The lie burned on my tongue. When she returned, I met her at the airport. She ran into my arms like she hadn't destroyed me. Maybe she believed the act, or maybe she believed I was still blind. Either way, I played along. That night, she curled into me, whispered how awful the trip had been, how all she thought about was my arms, my voice, our bed. She was soft, loving, present. And I returned every gesture. I made her feel safe, wanted, desired. For 3 months, I watched her closely. She didn't slip up. No late nights, no strange calls, nothing. She played her role to perfection. But I knew better. Then came the call from Mr. Bryce, my investigator. We met the next day in his office downtown. The man's face told me everything before he spoke. "I wish I had better news," he said quietly. "You ready to see it?" I nodded, already numb. He slid a thick binder across the table. Inside, screenshots, emails, texts, photos, videos. Over 200 pages of documentation. My fingers didn't shake as I turned them. 4 meetings a week, same hotel, same time, 2 hours. Then Bryce flipped the page. "There's someone else." He pushed forward a photo. My blood froze. "Is that Jason Maddox?" Bryce said. "CEO of her company." I stared. The man was holding Heather on a balcony, laughing, hands around her waist. Then came the video. Heather, Colby, Maddox, together. I had to leave the room. I didn't cry. I couldn't. When I returned, Bryce handed me a USB drive. "This will help in court, especially for custody." I nodded. By the time I left my lawyer's office, the divorce papers were in motion. I didn't need more time. I didn't need to see another file. She was gone. The woman I loved was gone. All that was left was silence. Who was this woman I had married? That night, after putting the girls to bed, I sat beside Heather on the couch. She curled into me like she always did. I scrolled through Netflix and stopped on a movie I'd been waiting for the right moment to play. "Let's watch this one," I said quietly, selecting Unfaithful. She smiled, resting her head on my shoulder. "I heard that one's good." Halfway through, I spoke without looking at her. "There's a woman at work who's been flirting with me for a while." I chuckled lightly, as if it meant nothing. "Can you imagine me with someone else?" She stiffened instantly. "Who? Some random girl?" I shrugged. "Does it matter?" Her tone dropped. "Oliver, don't play with me." I turned to her, meeting her eyes. "What if I did think about it? Would you leave me?" Her voice dropped to a whisper, sharp and cutting. "If I ever caught you looking at another woman, I'd walk away and never come back. You're mine." I stared at her, letting the weight of her words settle. The same woman who had been sleeping with 2 married men was threatening to leave me over a harmless thought. The hypocrisy nearly made me laugh. I forced a soft smile. "Of course, sweetheart, I'm yours." She relaxed a little, but the tension lingered. Then she asked, "Why didn't you tell me about this woman sooner?" I shrugged. "She's just an intern, young, flirts with everyone, doesn't mean anything." Heather eased back into the couch, a small breath escaping her lips. I seized the moment. "What about you?" I asked. "You're beautiful. No one at your offices ever made a move?" She scoffed. "They know I'm married. I would never cheat on you." I kept my face blank. "Not even a kiss?" She glared at me. "Are you seriously accusing me of something right now?" "I'm just asking." "You're being ridiculous," she snapped. "I tell you every day how much I love you. How could you even say that?" She was getting angry, but she was also good, very good, at selling a lie. For a second, I almost believed her. Then, as she settled again beside me, I picked up my phone. Scrolled, found the photo. The one of her and Colby locked in a kiss on the dance floor, his hand gripping her like she belonged to him. "What are you doing?" she asked, peeking over. "Looking at something more interesting than this movie," I said flatly. She frowned. "What do you mean?" I turned the screen toward her. She froze. Her lips parted, but nothing came out. "That's quite the kiss," I murmured. Her voice trembled. "Oliver, I can explain. Where did you bet this?" "Marcus was at the same restaurant. He texted me asking if the woman across from him was my wife or just someone who looked like her." I smiled bitterly. "You looked stunning in that dress, by the way. Never seen you wear something so short for me." She swallowed hard. "It wasn't like that. We danced. He was drunk. He kissed me. I pushed him away." "Oh," I tilted my head. "That's not what it looks like." "I slapped him afterwards, caused a scene. I swear I didn't want it." "You wore that dress to a business dinner?" She twisted her fingers. "It was for an event. I didn't realize how revealing it was." "I see," I said calmly. She sighed in relief, but I didn't let her breathe long. "And that's the only time something happened?" "Yes," she said quickly. "It won't happen again." I nodded slowly, then picked up my phone again. This time a video. Her and Colby on the hotel lounge couch, his hand disappearing under her dress. "What are you watching now?" she asked, her voice barely audible. "Remember that night you said you were heading to bed early?" I turned the screen to her. She turned white. "That night," I said, "Marcus texted me again. Funny timing." Heather's voice cracked. "Oh my God, Oliver, I'm so sorry." I didn't speak, just watched her unravel. "Jonathan called, said he needed to go over something. I went to meet him. I had a few drinks. You know how I get when I drink." I stared in silence. "The video looks bad, but I swear I told him to stop. I left after. I went to my room alone. She reached for me. Please believe me." I tilted my head. "That's the problem, kitten." She flinched. "I always believed you." Her eyes flooded with tears. "I love you." "This happened 3 months ago. Why didn't you tell me?" She opened her mouth. No words came out. "I waited," I continued. "I hoped you'd come clean. But now I see exactly who you are." She broke. Tears streamed down her face. Her body shook. "I love you. I love you so much." I exhaled. "Heather, stop. I know you love me, but love doesn't change what you did or what's in those photos." I pressed record on my phone. "Is there anything else I need to know?" She panicked. "No, nothing. I kissed him, yes, but that's all." I leaned closer. "Who were you dressing up for? Because it sure wasn't me." She wiped her face, voice cracking. I wanted to fit in, that's all." I nodded. "Then why not tell me about Colby?" She hesitated. "I shut it down. He's my boss. I didn't want to make it weird." I held her close, kissed her forehead, let her sob against me. That night, she was desperate, clinging to me, her affection frantic. She poured herself into me, trying to prove she still belonged. I let her. But inside, I felt nothing. The next morning, after she left for work, I opened the cloud log. Another message. "He thinks I stopped you before it went too far. He has no clue I spent the night in your room. He's easy to handle. A few kisses, good sex, and he forgets everything." My jaw clenched. I wasn't forgetting anything, and I was done being handled. Next time. In years, I saw something resembling guilt break through her mask. She lowered her gaze, her voice barely audible. "I didn't mean for it to go this far." But it had. I kept my tone even, staring down the two men who'd helped dismantle the life I'd worked so hard to build. "You want me to forget this? To pretend that my wife didn't spend months lying to my face while you two paraded around behind closed doors like it meant nothing?" Jonathan shifted, visibly uncomfortable. Jason remained still, trying to maintain some shred of composure. I turned back to Kim. "You lied to me. You looked me in the eye every night while holding our daughters in your arms and told me you loved me. And then you walked out the door and handed yourself to them." "I didn't know how to stop," she whispered. Jason stepped forward, interrupting. "Look, David, you're hurt, we get that. But this doesn't need to go public. The company's lawyers can work something out with you. Money, a settlement. Let's all walk away with some dignity intact." I looked at him for a long moment, then I said quietly, "Dignity? You think this is about dignity?" Jason didn't respond. "You tried to bury me. You thought I'd stay quiet, that I'd take the pain and crawl away. But I'm not that man anymore." They didn't say anything. They didn't need to. I could see the fear beginning to set in, that slow realization that this wasn't going to be handled quietly, that I wasn't bluffing. "Then what do you want?" Jonathan asked, his voice tight. I smiled bitterly. "I want your wives to know who you are. I want the people who trusted you, the ones who followed your lead, to see what kind of men they put at the top. And I want my girls to grow up never wondering why their father stayed silent when their mother broke her heart." Kim gasped softly. "Oliver." "No," I held up a hand. "You don't get to cry now. You had months to be honest. You could have told me the truth 100 different ways, but you didn't. You chose this." Jason's jaw clenched. "You're making a mistake." I took a step closer. "No, I made a mistake 5 years ago when I trusted the wrong woman." The silence that followed was deafening. No one moved, no one spoke. The weight of what was coming hung heavy in the air, and all three of them looked like they were bracing for impact. "I hope it was worth it," I said, turning to leave. Behind me, I heard Kim's voice tremble, one last attempt to salvage something. "I loved you, Oliver. I still do." I stopped at the edge of the courtyard, turned back. "No, Heather," I said softly. "You loved the version of me that didn't know better." That night, the fallout began. Sinclair's wife received the package first. Every photo, every message, every recorded call. My attorney made sure the timing was perfect. Within minutes, Jonathan's wife got hers too, and just like that, their carefully constructed worlds began to fracture. I didn't hear from them again, not for a long while. Heather tried to call, texted, showed up at my door once, drenched from the rain and crying, begging for a second chance. I closed the door in her face. Because I had daughters to protect. And no matter how much it hurt, no matter how hollow I felt inside, I refused to let them grow up believing love was supposed to look like that. Heather was gone the next morning. I heard later she moved in with her mother, that she'd been let go from her job quietly, that her friends didn't return her calls, that her world was shrinking. Mine, oddly enough, was expanding. I had clarity now, purpose, and I had silence, the kind of silence that comes not from peace, but from knowing that the worst has happened and that you're still standing. I wasn't healed, but I was free. And for the first time in months, that felt like something worth holding on to. The silence that followed was unbearable. Heather's eyes glistened as she looked up at me, and for the first time I saw something real. Not love, not regret, just ruin. And maybe, just maybe, she understood what she had done. Colby Sinclair's posture stiffened. "Oliver, let's be realistic. Name your price." I didn't blink. There isn't enough money in the world to make me take her back. She made her choice. But I'll consider dropping the lawsuits under 2 conditions. His lips thinned. I'm listening. 1, I want $4 million wired by the end of the week. 2, I want a face-to-face meeting with your wives and with Heather. You'll admit everything. Colby's whole demeanor shifted. "You arrogant bastard! I'll give you $100 grand and a confidentiality agreement." His voice dropped to a threatening whisper. "You have no idea who you're dealing with. If my wife finds out, I'll eliminate you. Heather told us your schedule. If you vanish, no one will know why." I took a sip of water, let his words hang in the air, and smiled. $3 million, final offer, and your families will know everything. Colby's face darkened. "You're digging your own grave." I didn't flinch. I pulled out my phone and hit send. One message to Heather's relatives, another to the couriers outside Colby's and Jonathan's homes. The binders I'd prepared were being delivered, full of texts, screenshots, phone logs, and pictures. Colby's phone buzzed. So did Jonathan's. Their faces drained of color. Their wives were calling. Heather turned to me, her voice small. "What did you do?" "Check your email," I said softly. Colby slammed his phone down, storming out of the room. Jonathan stayed, stunned. "Why would you do this?" I stared at him. "You spent half a year treating my wife like your plaything, and now you're shocked I didn't roll over?" Heather's phone started ringing. Her brother, her aunt, her cousin. I watched her hand tremble as she opened the email. Her face collapsed. "How could you do this to me?" "You made it too easy." She sobbed. "But I love you." I shook my head. "It's over. And with what I've recorded, social services will grant me full custody. You'll be lucky not to see prison." "Oliver, please!" I raised my hand. "Save it, sweetheart. Or should I say, kitten? That's what you called him, right?" She dropped her face into her hands, and I walked away. Tricom's lawyers moved quickly. They settled. The board ousted Colby without ceremony. He lost his stock, his retirement, everything. When the DA got hold of the recording of his threat, conspiracy charges followed. He was sentenced to 5 years. His wife filed for divorce, took it all. Jonathan's world fell apart. His wife left the day the truth landed on her doorstep. He was fined for civil damages and lost everything: career, house, savings. Last I heard, he was living in a motel on the edge of town, picking up freelance web gigs just to survive. And Heather? She spiraled. After the trial and custody loss, she went on house arrest. She had no income, no job, and no support. Even her own family turned their backs. Eventually, the weight of it all crushed her. 3 suicide attempts later, she was living in a long-term care facility, medicated and empty. I see the girls every day. I don't work anymore. My mother and sister help me raise them. They laugh, they play, and they ask fewer questions about their mother. The pain still sits with me. I've forgiven, in the quiet way you forgive for yourself. But I'll never forget. Stories like Oliver's are extreme, but not entirely unfamiliar. Infidelity, manipulation, and power imbalances destroy more than just marriages. They dismantle identities. If you find yourself questioning your partner's honesty, don't ignore your intuition. Often emotional abuse is subtle, layered in denial, charm, and shifting blame. This story is a harsh reminder of how betrayal doesn't happen in a vacuum. One person's lies can ripple through families, friendships, and careers. If you're facing something similar, document everything. Keep your emotions in check and focus on protecting yourself, especially if children are involved. Emotional closure might take years, and some wounds may never fully heal, but safeguarding your peace must be your first priority. Also, understand that revenge, even when satisfying, is not the same as healing. Oliver got justice, but the sadness remained. True healing comes when you begin to rebuild, not just your life, but your ability to trust and believe in love again. If you're in a toxic relationship, reach out for help. Talk to a therapist. Lean on your support system. Don't isolate yourself in silence. You deserve love that doesn't make you feel small, used, or disposable. Be cautious with your heart, and if someone shatters it, don't spend your life picking up their pieces. Start collecting your own.